One of my preacher friends would have said to me, "Somerville, if you can't preach after that, you just can't preach." To which I would have replied, "After that, you don't really have to preach." It makes it that much easier. 600 years before Jesus walked the hills of Galilee, speaking parables of the kingdom, another wisdom teacher got a reputation for great storytelling. His name was Aesop, and he loved to tell these pithy little morality tales that would inspire people to live a different and better kind of life. One of his best known is the fable about the ant and the grasshopper. Simple enough to be understood by children, profound enough to be appreciated by adults. I offer you this shortened version. One summer day, a grasshopper was hopping around in a field, chirping and singing to its heart's content. He saw an ant struggling along, carrying a single kernel of corn on his back. And the grasshopper said, "Brother ant, put down your load. Come sit with me and sing with me for a while." But the ant said, Can't. I am laying up food for a long, cold winter." And off he went, while the grasshopper went back to his singing. But that winter, the grasshopper was singing a different tune as he was shivering in the cold and just about to starve to death, while that ant was snug and warm in the anthill with plenty of food laid up for a long winter. The moral of this fable is simply this: it is wise to worry about tomorrow today. That makes sense, doesn't it? It made sense then. It makes sense now. In fact, it has become part of our conventional wisdom. We all do this. We all store up something for the hard days ahead. Many of you have retirement accounts of some kind into which you put something from time to time, knowing that eventually you may need that money to live on. It just makes sense. And it must have made sense to those people Jesus was talking to on that hillside that day as he delivered the Sermon on the Mount. They may have heard that same story from Aesop, passed down through those 600 years. But as Jesus looked on their faces, I believe he saw what 600 years of that kind of conventional wisdom can do to people. He saw what happens when you worry about tomorrow today. And so he said to them, contrary to the conventional wisdom of his time and our time, "Do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Let today's trouble be enough for today." And we need to pay attention because what Jesus says and what Aesop says contradict each other. We have to decide, will we listen to Jesus or will we listen to Aesop? While Aesop talks about ants and grasshoppers, Jesus talks about birds and lilies. He says, don't worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or your body, what you will wear. Isn't life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They don't sow or reap or gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not worth much more than they? And which one of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his lifespan? Why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field. They neither toil nor spin. Look how they grow. Solomon, in all his glory, was not clothed like one of these. Let me just tell you, if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear? It's the Gentiles who strive after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. So strive for God's kingdom and His righteousness, and all of these things will be given to you as well. I tell you again, do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. But when you hear that word, do you hear 3 times Jesus tells us not to worry? It is as clear a command as can be found in the Gospels. It's right up there with go make disciples of every nation, or do this in remembrance of me. And yet we ignore these words as if Jesus never said them. I think there are 2 reasons for that. One is, deep down, we believe Aesop was right, that it is wise to worry about tomorrow, today. We believe that a little bit of worry is good for you. That student who has a math test tomorrow and is worried about it may actually study for it today. That's a good thing, right? That athlete who is about to get cut from the team may practice a little harder, work a little harder, and get to keep his place. That couple who worries that they may lose their home may get up early and go to work and spend a little less and save a little more. Some worry is good for us, but too much worry is bad for us. And you know this. Worry can shake you awake in the middle of the night. It can leave you lying there in a cold sweat, unable to go back to sleep. It can alter your eating habits, change your relationship patterns. Your job performance can be affected. You tend to overeat or indulge in things that are not good for you, take up harmful habits. When you're too stressed and worried about your life, you can't function in the way that you want to function. Jesus says, do not worry. Don't worry about your life. But we do, and this is the second reason, because we can't help it. Just try it sometime. Try not worrying about the things that worry you most. It doesn't work. And we might say in our defense, we have plenty to worry about. Some of you in this room have lost your jobs recently, and your search for employment has become desperate at this stage. Some of you right now are wondering how you will pay next month's bills or last month's bills. You wonder how long it will be before you're bankrupt. Some of you, like Steve, have really had to worry about whether or not you can keep your home. That's a true concern. It keeps you awake at night. When Jesus says, do not worry about your life, we almost want to ask Jesus, have you never lived in the real world? Do you not know what it's like? If you don't pay your mortgage, the bank will throw you right out of your house. You will end up on the street. And when you do, you better believe you will worry about your life, what you will eat and drink, and about your body, what you will wear. If it happens to you and you find yourself standing on a street corner holding a cardboard sign asking for help because you don't know what else to do, and some well-meaning Christian pulls up in a big fancy car and rolls down their window and says, hey, don't worry, look at the birds of the air. Consider the lilies of the field. You will probably want to take that chrome fish decal off the back of her car and stick it in her ear. No telling. These worries are real. They affect us here and now. But I think they affected those people then and there, the ones Jesus was speaking to. Some of those people in that crowd really did wonder where their next meal was going to come from, where they were going to sleep that night. They had serious concerns, and Jesus could tell when He looked at them, could see their faces twisted up in expressions of worry. And so He says to these people, I'm telling you, don't worry. Don't worry about your life. Don't worry about what you'll eat and drink. Don't worry about what you will wear. Your Heavenly Father will take care of you. Jesus is providing pastoral care for these people in the same way I would want to provide it if you came to my study and told me that you had lost your job and that you were worried about how to pay your bills. If you said, I don't know if I'll have food on my table next week, I would want to say to you, listen, as long as you are a member of this family, you will not go hungry. That's what I would want to say, and I would hope that it was true. Jesus is saying the same thing. Listen, people of God, as long as you are part of His family, you will never go hungry. Believe me.